The entire medical system is based upon an idea that there is a tiny little pathogen that can self-replicate inside our cells and attack us. And so we need an immune system. But it turns out there is no such thing. It's quite a radical idea. You see, we do have bacteria because we can look at them. They're quite big. We can see them in a microscope and examine them. We can watch them. We have mitochondria. But even bacteria don't behave quite the same way as we are told. You see, when you watch them under a microscope, the bacteria are not actually aggressive. They only start to attack the cells when the cell is weaker. They go for the weaker cell, the dying cell. It's like they're cleaning up. And bacteria operate like the garden. You see, again, this is to do with balance and imbalance. Sometimes in your garden you get a lot of slugs, a lot of snails, a pest. You know, one particular insect builds up in your garden and it appears aggressive, but really it's because the garden has got out of balance. Too much of a particular mineral, and a particular insect is coming to absorb that. There's an excess of something, so a particular insect comes in to balance out that excess. Nature works all together as one. Nature is harmonious balance. That is mysterious. It is just harmonious balance. It's also entropy. Entropy is actually a harmonious balance, because at a harmonious balance, everything just stays where it is. It's just right. When we lose that balance in the garden, then we get one of these pests coming in to try and absorb it, counteract it. That's what happens in the body. Excess bacteria come because of an imbalance. You see, in Eastern medicine, ancient medicine, they never talked about pathogens. They didn't talk about cyruses. They did not need to. They only talked about balance of energy. You've got Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, Tibetan, Thai, all different ones. They all talked about energy, balance, harmony, not pathogens. And if you go further back, the shaman were living in energy. So they would see sickness. They see it more like an evil spirit. Not so much evil, but there's a spirit. There's energy in that person, something going on with their energy. And they have to balance it out, remove that evil spirit. I'm saying that because that's what we can understand, but they knew about balance. They just recognized a very big imbalance in energy, and they used energy to move energy, pull out that imbalance, bring in new energy, rebalance the patient's energy. And when you do that, it filtered down and rebalanced the body. The body is life force. Life force is bacteria, all different ones. We are a collection of bacteria, but what holds them together? They're held together in balance by the soul. The soul is primary. The soul is consciousness controlling biological material. It controls the bacteria, gives the command for a body. So other bacteria are not aggressive because they're trying to get into your control. You have to let them in. Remember, when you've lost balance, that is, you're losing your soul. A stronger soul maintains balance, health. The ancient medicine talked about balance, harmony. They did not need to talk about pathogens. You see, 100 years ago or so, we had a choice. There were two theories of medicine. One was called terrain theory, and one was called germ theory. Terrain theory was like the Eastern way. Your terrain, your environment. If you had an imbalance in your environment, that creates sickness. It's to do with the energy around you. It's also to do with your inner terrain. For example, if you have been poisoned, that means inside your body has gone out of balance. Your terrain has changed. A poison is different to a pathogen because a poison is just a substance that you have accidentally ingested. It's more like an accident. See, accidents will happen. A stronger soul has a bit more perception, less accidents, but you cannot prevent accidents. There's always chaos. However, an aggressive pathogen, now that's another thing. You see, when you talk about a germ is an external thing, a living thing coming to get you. So this creates fear. Terrain theory was the old way. It's about the energy around you and finding balance. Germ theory is the new way. Hang on, you're under attack. From every angle, there are little organisms coming to get you. And now we've got a cyrus. So small, so tiny, and it's infinite varieties. And it goes right into your cell, destroys your DNA, and it will finish you off. And you can't do anything much about it. You have an immune system. Because some people are not affected, some people are. What's the difference? Oh, well, there's an immune system. Inside our body, we're fighting a war all the time. Fighting off these tiny little cyruses. And sometimes our immune system is good, sometimes it's bad. So sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. That's war. You're always in a state of war. You will never find balance. Remember, it's impossible now to find health because you have created a world surrounded by a continuous attack on your health. That attack will never go away. All you can do is protect yourself. Terrain theory doesn't say that. There's nothing attacking you. There is only energy in the universe. That energy is moving around. And sometimes it moves nicely, sometimes it gets stuck, out of balance. And all you've got to do, get the energy moving again. That's it. You can think of it like this. Digestion. All health comes from good digestion. But when you've got constipation, now you start getting ill health. But it's constipation in the flow of energy. We all get it. Energy gets blocked. It's etheric constipation. That's the beginning of sickness. But that is still your terrain. That is the movement, the space around you. You're not under attack. All you have to do is move the energy. Get it flowing, get it flowing. Get the digestion going well. So as I said, about 100 years ago, we had a choice. Terrain theory, germ theory. Actually, they tried germ theory. It was disproven. They tried to prove this. They took soldiers. You can look into this. And they tried to infect them. So they got, people with a flu, a cold, coughing, sneezing, and they put this, put all that stuff on the patients, got them coughing on the people. You had about 100 soldiers. And they tried to infect them all, like I said, coughing on them, even giving them the mucus to take it. But none of them got sick. It did not work. And I'd be willing to prove this. I've thought about this as well. I'd be willing to go to a hospital of infectious diseases, go round, give every single patient a kiss. Nothing would happen to me. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still poisons. There are still poisons. There are still powerful energy movements. For example, they can create powerful radiation. Yes, that's a sort of attack. But that's still an energetic attack. And we can deflect that. We can still do something about it. You see, if we have a strong aura helps to absorb energy. It protects against powerful movements of energy. So your real immune system is energetic. It's your aura. That's it. But you're not actually under attack. It's nothing to do with attack. Once you build an aura, you're building yourself a little space. And in that space is balance. You maintain the balance in that space. That's a good feeling. Actually, that's just you being happy, enjoying life, being healthy. You love it. Now you have a good aura and you're integrated. You're not distracted. You're grounded in your body, in life. That's a healthy body, a healthy soul, and an immune system, an aura. But what they say about germs is no. You see, like I said, disproven, but of course germ theory is far more profitable. You know, now they can create these anti-cyruses. They can give you something into your blood that makes you immune. But of course it doesn't. You never really get immune. You have to take another one, another one, another one. Oh, now the cyrus has mutated. Here's another one. Oh, we found a new cyrus. You need another one. And now, once you realise, hang on, this whole thing is a game, they're deceiving us, then you've got to wonder, well, what are they putting in that? What are they putting in my blood? Now, let me prove this to you once more. If you want scientific proof for the fact that there is no such thing as a cyrus, the best person to watch is Dr. Sam Bailey. I will leave links to her channel below. And she has a website as well where she goes into more detail because YouTube won't show it. But there's a lot on YouTube. I'm going to explain to you the mathematics of this, the ultimate proof of this. Yes, you have a bacteria that we can see in a microscope, but a so-called cyrus is far smaller. It's smaller than DNA. You need an electron microscope. And there is no evidence for this. Again, there is no evidence, it has never been seen, of one of these cyruses self-replicating. They have never been observed in their natural environment. They're only theoretical. They are looking at something. You can look at tiny fragments of biological material under an electron microscope, but they're not doing anything. So here's the thing. This is where science is very clever. They can take an observable thing and just change it a bit. Create a theory about it. So yes, you are looking at something, a piece of biological material. It has a shape, a geometry, and you can see it fits with other pieces. So you think, oh, maybe it does something. But there's no evidence of it ever doing anything. They're just fragments floating about, doing nothing. And there is no evidence. Again, I look for it. They will have plenty of CGI. It's all theoretical. The most they have ever done is seen a tiny little bit of this material moving a little bit, tiny bit of movement, but not self-replicating. And never observed in a natural environment. You have to take a cell, destroy the cell, use solvents, you've got to distill it, do a lot of stuff before you can separate, isolate a so-called cyrus. Then look at it. So it's not in a natural environment. You've completely destroyed the biological material. And now you pick out a bit and say, oh look, that's a self-replicating pathogen. No, it's not. You've blitzed it up, dissolved it in solvents, spun it round. Dr. Sam Bailey goes into all the details. But look at it this way. In order to have self-replicating life, this is the ultimate proof that there is no such thing as a cyrus. you need to have a certain level of complexity. For example, an atom. An atom, yeah, okay, we can say that exists. But an atom cannot self-replicate. It's too simple. All right, let's have a molecule. A molecule, yeah, can a molecule self-replicate? No, cannot. It's too simple. A molecule has to come together. All right, what about biological material? Okay, a protein. Can a protein self-replicate? Yeah, no. A protein has to be created. It's too simple. All right, so what is the simplest, what is the smallest organisation of matter, of atoms that we can have that can self-replicate? The very smallest, simplest piece of biological material is DNA. You must have DNA for life. Mathematically, you need a minimum level of complexity. If you break the DNA in half, it won't work. If you have a fragment of DNA, it won't do anything. So they are looking at pieces of broken DNA, looking at fragments, looking at, fragments of biological material. You've blitzed up a cell, it's all broken up, and these fragments are everywhere. You look into it, you find a cyrus on a person, you find it on a rock, on a watermelon, anywhere, because biological material, fragments are everywhere, but they're not doing anything. They're just like dust in space. There's dust everywhere, atoms everywhere. You're not doing anything. Life means self-replication. Minimum mathematical geometry, mathematical complexity, enough complexity is DNA. So there cannot be any self-replicating pathogens smaller than DNA. And DNA must be in a cell. If it's not in a cell, it still won't work. So you still have to have a cell. A cell is the smallest life form. A bacteria, a mitochondria, that's it. Slightly different variations of them, but they all must have DNA. Slight different variations of DNA, but must have DNA. That is proof itself. And even modern science says it. They say, well, a cyrus is not quite alive, it's partially alive. They have to admit it. Partially alive, what's that? That's meaningless. It's alive or it's not alive, animated or not. Either it can self-replicate or it cannot self-replicate. You cannot have half self-replication. They've said it themselves. Ask anyone, is a cyrus alive in the true sense of life? No, not quite. It's an autonomous movement at best. But an autonomous movement, these tiny particles will move autonomously. They've got magnetism, they've got electrostatics, they've got gravity, they'll move and spin. So they appear alive. That's not alive. That's the autonomous movements of entropy. When life force, a soul, is applied to it, then they start pulling together. But even, you see, a soul, consciousness, does not create DNA. It's too complex. Even DNA is too complex to just pull together from fundamental forces. Again, ask any scientist, would you be able to create DNA by chance, by absolute chance, only using gravity, magnetism and electrostatics? There's no other force. All right, they will say the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force. All right, I've explained this before, but in their eyes, 4 fundamental forces and just some atoms. Autonomous force, can you now create DNA? The answer is no. Impossibly vast probabilities. So DNA is always here. The universe is always here. Life is just a cycle. It's very hard to understand this, but it's the only mathematical solution. So it just turns out that there is no evidence for a tiny little nano self-replicating pathogen. No such thing. That means all we do is train our energy. It's all about energy. Energy comes from the soul, comes from spirit. Spirit controls everything. And what are we doing? Life is harmonious balance. That is nature. The natural way. The natural way, we are that. It's just balance. Try to feel balance in our energy. Balance between head and heart. Balance of all the emotions and inner peace. It's not easy. That is the battle. The battle is trying to keep balance. But the closer we can get to balance, the easier it gets. So I hope this made sense. Please do leave me any questions or comments. Do check out my channel. I've organised all my talks into playlists, different topics, so you can look through, just pick any one, any video, they're all different. And I also have a book which you can also check out in the description of this video. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.